Hi, my name's Phil. I like to come out politics, and it was not very long ago that the wealthy right wing were hailing the election of Donald Trump. Now, even the Daily Mail is publishing opinion pieces describing the orange one as Orwellian. And nobody uses that term in a complimentary way. Even corporate America, who thought they would win bigly under a second Trump presidency, are realising their folly. Today is April the 1st, April Fool's Day, a day when people try to report on joke news stories. None of them will be as ridiculous as the real news coming from the White House. To many Republicans and Trump supporters around the world, the idea that he would unleash a global trade war, even though he promised to do just that, was as ridiculous as any April Fool you could try. So why didn't they think he was serious? But first, for daily news and commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So it is perhaps ironically because Trump is such an obvious liar that corporate America and others beyond chose not to believe some of Trump's more extreme election pledges, that his promise to apply blanket tariffs on goods from around the world was an early April Fool's from Donald Trump, the presidential candidate. But Donald Trump, the president, is carrying it out. In fact, although the details are still to be revealed, so far he sounds, in terms of actual policies, like, I don't think Trump has actually done anything he didn't warn us he was going to do, because what he sounds like he's now going to do, if anything, is more extreme than what he promised. He promised to dismantle the federal government. He promised to impose blanket tariffs on imports, albeit at a lower percentage to his actual policy. He promised to roll back democratic checks and balances. And for those of us who did take him seriously, who believed that he intended to do these things, because we knew he was working closely with the authors of Project 2025, and we could see the long-term gains for those people, it seems insane that others in America, intelligent people and beyond, didn't believe it. That they believed Trump would, just as in his first term, cut taxes for the rich and play golf. And part of me understands how they could be deceived. Donald Trump is an insane liar. It's not just that he tells lies, it's that he tells ridiculous lies. I can see how it might be possible to consider a promise to apply blanket tariffs on all US imports, which would be insane, as a lie. Something to explain to the public how he was going to make their lives better, like building the wall, the Mexico wall. I could see how people in America would consider that to be a lie in the same category as claiming that people were eating their cats and dogs, right? It's just a mad thing you say to grab headlines and attention. A strategy based on the idea it doesn't matter what voters hear in an election campaign. What matters is who they hear it from. Some of Harris's popular policies, for example, polling showed that American voters thought were Trump's policies. They were presumably so used to listening to reports of what Trump had to say, they just thought everything being said came from Trump, especially the stuff they wanted to hear. So I get how people, especially rich people who were supporting Trump, could believe that he was just talking crap to win votes and would settle down to his first term way of doing things. After all, what he was promising with his tariffs would crash the global economy. Except they seem to forget something incredibly important, not just that Trump is an idiot. If Trump just quietly cut taxes but otherwise enjoyed being president for 4 more years, at the end he would have to step down, have no possibility of avoiding further financial or legal challenges. Had Trump not won this election, it seems likely he would now be wearing a jumpsuit to match his face paint right now. If he just rode out a second and final term, he would then open himself up to the consequences of a misspent life at the end of that term, with no possibility of derailing it further. But this is the problem with a lot of people. They never consider the political angle. They didn't consider what Trump's overriding priorities were, and those priorities were not consistent with democracy remaining intact. For Trump to guarantee his continued freedom and wealth, he almost certainly feels he has to remain in power for life or rig the system to make sure those he has ironclad control over remain in power for the rest of his misbegotten life. You have that saying often linked with the rise of Hitler, although it massively predates the rise of Hitler, that for evil to triumph, it's necessary only for good people to do nothing. But it could be expanded. Why do good people, or even bad people who aren't completely evil, do nothing as evil is clearly rising? Because they don't think strategically. But it's done now. The mistakes have been made, and Trump is very effectively bringing corporate America to heel. Those with the most to lose by angering their orange god are the easiest to control. Throw him, give him a few tens of millions of dollars and you will placate the raging volcano. In fact, I actually had, in terms of the tariffs, someone in the comments say, maybe the UK government should just chuck him $100 million personally into his own personal bank account and say, give us a, we could even do it for $500 million, quite frankly, let us off with the tariffs, we'll give you $500 million. But with the exception of a small handful of those very close to Trump, and Trump himself, of course, they're still likely to become poorer. Musk has used his position with Doge to ensure he enjoys a competitive advantage over his rivals. So his rivals are going to lose out. And they will not be able to complain for fear of dire retribution from the Oompa Loompa of vengeance. But this begs other questions, and I don't really know the answer to all of them yet. And maybe guessing at the ones I think I do know the answer to. So Trump was telling the truth about tariffs and of ignoring completely the checks and balances which are supposed to counter executive overreach. He's ignoring the courts. He's threatening members of Congress with, if they're lucky, their primaries, and if they're not lucky, their wealth or their very lives. But Trump has made a number of other policy announcements as well, ones that in theory could be random rhetoric or bluffs. They sound just as mad, if not madder, just as people thought of the tariffs. He's threatened to invade Greenland, Canada, Panama, Gaza. Given that he was serious about tariffs, are people revising their opinions about these policies as well? He is describing Europe as an enemy and Russia as a friend. Enacting policies in line with that philosophy, as he's getting ready to do this week, are not going to work out well for corporate America. It will be like when we in the UK were persuaded to leave our free trade with Europe in return for a trade deal with Mongolia. Have people ever learned their lesson? Or do they think that something will magically happen to stop Trump actually going beyond some imaginary red line from crashing the entire Western economy? See, just over a month ago, it's quite a disturbing article in the Financial Times. First, think back to the last time the head of a G7 nation did something completely mad to the economy. It was Liz Truss, wasn't it? When she announced her mini budget. The pound crashed. We almost had a run on the pound. What prevented that catastrophic event was the Bank of England, our central bank, snapping into action to stabilise the gilt market. Something that the right wing have blamed them for ever since, but we'd have been in a hell of a hole had they not stepped in. The Bank of England, of course, acts independently of governments to a large degree. Well, if Trump triggered a serious economic collapse, it would be for the Federal Reserve to step into action and save the day. Now, we do not yet know what the economic impact will be on America, because we do not yet know exactly what Trump is planning. But you have to accept the possibility that there could be a serious economic collapse in America. Trump wants to control the Fed. And despite the view that this would be illegal, Trump's Attorney General in February suggested that Trump actually has the power to force changes of personnel. Now, it's very likely, of course, he does not. But we already know it makes no difference what a court says if Trump just goes ahead and does it anyway. Because that's the way Trump's behaving at the moment. He behaves as if he has this power and he's daring people to stop him. And so far, people are not stopping him. So if at some point Trump's economic policies lead to a serious recession, it's not unlikely, there will have to be a response from the Fed. Now, you might expect a response even if recession is just threatened, but definitely if it happens, especially if the prognosis is a spiral of stagflation taking hold. Now, who's going to decide what that monetary policy response is going to be? Will it be experts in economics and monetary policy, or will it be some random cronies that Trump has appointed? And what is that going to mean for the wider world? But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.